Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Joining me today is Hope Breen, Rochester and Finger Lakes regional tourism influencer, Rock the City with Hope. Thanks for joining us, Hope.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while. We connected a couple weeks ago, actually a couple months ago, and then we met a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I just got to have you on the show. I love what you're doing with Rock the City, and it's kind of unique. So I'd love to just sort of start out right there and like, what are you doing as a social media influencer in Rochester?
So my tagline is that I help locals become tourists and I create Rochester and Finger Lakes enthusiasts. I've been running my channel now. I just celebrated 6 years last month. And yeah, just work on making people appreciate what they've got in their own backyard.
And I think that's really great because like there are so many times, I live a little bit south of Rochester, but I'm like, I know I've heard multiple people say, "Oh, I don't have anything to do this weekend." And I kind of shoot out. I'm saying, "Hey, you got to check out this account. She's got some great ideas." And it's great to have people that really celebrate what's going on within their own community. And that's kind of what That Sounds Terrific is all about, is really celebrating the positive things and bringing those things to light. So I think that's really cool. How did you get started with this idea? Like, where did this begin?
So I have my associates in hospitality management with a focus in tourism from Monroe Community College. And as a part of my degree program, we had members from Visit Rochester come in and speak. And when I started at MCC, I grew up in Henrietta. I was like, oh, there's nothing to do in Rochester. Like, why would anyone come here? Like most people feel and say. And we started getting presentations from Visit Rochester. And I was like, wait, I didn't know about that. Like, I didn't know about this. And so as I was working through my degree program, I had to do an internship. So I did 180 hours with Visit Rochester, 80 of which was spent in 1 week at the Lilac Festival.
Mm.
So I was at their visitor center or visitor booth at the Lilac Festival, and people came from all over the world. I had to go through and like track where people were coming from, and there were multiple countries outside of the United States that people had come from. And I did Lilac Festival, Jazz Festival, Cornhill Festival, and then was at the airport for a little bit. And once my internship ended, I was like, wait, I had a lot of fun talking about Rochester and telling people what there was to do. So my mom came up with the name Rock the City with Hope. My internship ended in June, and then like a month later, I did my first video at the #1 tourist destination in Rochester. Do you know what that is, Nick?
What is that? And
Do
you
you have
do
any
tell me.
guesses?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. The #1 tourism. Is it oh, could it be the beer?
It is the Pittsford Wegmans.
Oh, that's unusual. I would never have guessed that.
That's where all the family and friends, when people come into town, everyone takes their family and friends who come in to visit over to the Pittsford Wegmans. So my first ever video I posted was on the Pittsford Wegmans.
That's awesome. I never would have guessed that. So yeah, so your mom came up with the name that, and I love the name Rock the City with Hope, and it's got a great like, feeling to it. In addition to like, I feel like there's a whole other meaning to that. Not that if I didn't know your name was Hope, I'd be like, oh, like this is like a movement. So and in a lot of ways it is a movement. And how do you kind of like, so you started off, you got your name, you did your first place, which was Wegmans, which is a staple in our community. There's they're everywhere, and they've names like, I work at U of R, so they've named a building there. They're just very involved. But like, how do you kind of like, figure out what you want to highlight? Did that develop over time too? What's your process?
So a lot was based on places that I had not had a chance to visit yet. So if there was a park that I was like, oh, I'd always heard about like Holly Canal Falls, and I was like, I've never been here. Like if I've never been, like who the heck's been? So a lot would stem from places that I like would see come up that I had never had a chance to explore and would go from there. So for a while, it was a lot of free things. So like art walk in neighborhood of the arts, that sculpture walk, different parks, different waterfalls, and free things to do because I didn't have the money to go and like pay and to go and visit all these places. So a lot stemmed from just enjoying the outdoors and
Mhm.
the free things that there are to do in the area.
Very cool. I mean, I had a similar approach to even podcasting when I first started this show. It was about like, who can I get in front of? I want to talk to different people. And that was kind of a unique way to do it. Because who doesn't want to be on a podcast, right? So, but I think that that's great because then you kind of get to explore things that you've always wanted to do, and you also expose those things to other people. When did this sort of become a thing? Like, when did you realize that this is like, there's something here?
So I had a video go viral on TikTok in November of 2021. It was on Sense by Design in Neighborhood of the Arts, which is a DIY candle shop. So
Mm.
people go in, they pick out their different scents, they pick out the candle holder, make their own candle. We had gone for my friend's birthday, so I just like took a video while we were there. Like I didn't let them know I was posting it. I didn't introduce myself. I didn't say anything. I was like, "Oh, we're just here." And the video got 220,000 views. It has like 2,800 shares, and my following like bumped up to 10,000 followers like from that video. So that happened, and I was like, oh, like it, like all of a sudden people were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about that. And so that really helped to like build traction and be like, okay, like now I feel like I can start reaching out and like be an authoritative figure with
Mhm.
different brands and not just looking at it like it's a hobby.
Mhm. No, and that's super cool because I've heard, a lot of different stories about, the viral video become is sort of like an accident, and that's why a lot of times, like when I used to consult on social media and things like that, I'm like, you don't need the professional video, right? Grainy videos and like, things like that go viral, when they don't have any production added to
Right.
them. And I think that's really kind of a cool thing that happened to you for, on multiple reasons, because I think you're awesome, but also because like it's just you're being yourself, right? And that's what people saw it for. And I think that's just really cool. And it's launched a really great initiative. So what's changed since then? So now you had your first viral video. Did you have more viral videos because of that, or just more consistency, or a little bit of both?
That one's still my highest viewed video of all time. Since then, definitely like overall consistency, in higher views. Um, the next highest views, I did one at Wegmans. The song Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus was trending.
Mhm.
And I took a video of me in front of Wegmans and I was like, I was not a teenage dirtbag. All my friends did when we were in high school was sit in the Wegmans cafe because it was open 24 hours and like split a pack of Wegmans chocolate chip cookies. That was our wild nights in high school. So, and that one got like 120,000 views, something
Mhm.
ridiculous. But so many people just relating to that being like the only thing that they did in high school, which I felt validated that it wasn't just me and my friends.
Mhm.
But Wegmans is another one that brings people together on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. No, our spot, like, depending on which part of the town, I grew up in Long Island, and there was a a bookstore with a great cafe in it that we would hang out in called the Book Review. But most of the time we were hanging out in the Starbucks because it was sort of the center of town. And I didn't even really like Starbucks. So like, go in there and get my free water. Friends were like we used to drive the manager nuts. We were always in there. So maybe I was a little bit of a teenage dirtbag, but no, but I can see how Wegmans would be that kind of location. But it seems like everything is revolving around Wegmans right now with you. So
Wegmans, feel free to sponsor me at any point in time.
yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, would I would sponsor you for sure. Um, that's so cool. So what has been like maybe you talked about the viral video, talked about that video being popular, but what has been like maybe your favorite thing you've done so far, favorite project that really, you felt proud of or was a great moment for you? That was a hard question. I can see in your eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Putting you on the spot.
um, I did a merch, not collab, but collab with the Rochester Red Wings. So we went and the video game sound that's like choose your character.
Mm-hmm.
And we spotlighted all the different Red Wings fan characters. So we did one look on their grim and depressing line after that reporter said that why would anyone want to go to Rochester? It's just grim and depressing. And they
Mm-hmm.
took that article and ran with it with its own merch line. They have the Rochester plates. So we did a fan profile on a plates fan. We did one on Mitzi,
Mm-hmm.
one of their mascots, and then one on Milo, the bat dog. May he rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was so fun. We got out on the field, and that was probably one of the coolest experiences I've been able to do is to help the Red Wings promote some of their merch. And that definitely helped me feel validated too with being such a big name in the community.
Yeah, I mean you made it. You made it to the big time with the Red Wings, right? I love
Next up,
Mitzi.
Buffalo Bills.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool, right? All the Bills fans out there. So what is your advice to like people that are trying to be successful, like, through TikTok or on social media in general? Like where do you suggest starting? And, I'm sure you've hit some bumps in the road. Love some advice on that. I know I need it.
I think that you have to find what works for you. I started my account originally on YouTube. And so that's my longest running channel. I started my YouTube before I had a Facebook and before I had an Instagram, and that still only has 93 subscribers. Like, I was trying to do longer form content. It wasn't for me. I didn't have the attention span to edit it. People didn't have the attention span to watch it. Um, Same thing, Instagram, Facebook, those have been like consistently building. But I've run my TikTok account the shortest amount of time, and that one has grown the most. So I think it's just a matter of finding like what kind of content you like to make. If you hate taking videos, then like I'm not going to recommend that you go on TikTok. There are still Instagram accounts that are successful just by posting still photos. So I think a lot is you have to find like the creative outlet that you enjoy creating on, and then just create on a consistent basis. Um, my TikTok account at one point, when I was not working a full-time job, I was posting like 3 videos a day and was gaining 100 followers a day. But that was asinine and is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So I think that you have to find something that you enjoy doing, be consistent at it, and like don't beat yourself up if you can't like post 3 times a day. Like whatever consistency is that for you, just
Mhm.
make sure that you're doing it on a consistent basis.
I think that's great advice. I mean, and I use too many like account lines right now for even for this show to like keep track of. And I think TikTok is something where I need to be, and I like the idea of it, and I have utilized it a little bit, probably not correctly in any way. Um, but it's something that I do want to learn. I just got to find the time to do that. But I've noticed that like, having and a lot of times, again, when I used to consult, I'd be like, you start with one social media account, maybe two. You don't want to have more than three, especially when you haven't used social media that much, because a lot of people that I worked with were businesses or people that just never really did social media, middle-aged, or even kind of on the elderly side, adults like that just had no experience and needed to learn how to do it just so they could have a presence, and starting simplistic, I think is definitely one way to go. But I like your advice of like doing stuff that you like to do, and having that platform fit your personality. So are there any like filters or music or particular trends that you've stuck with over the time that you really enjoy through TikTok, or um any advice in that realm too? See, I'm giving away all your trade secrets.
So I subscribe to an account. Her account is Sydney on socials, and she sends, I like it's a subscription service, and she'll send 3 trends a day to my phone for me to look at, so I don't have to go through and like
Hmm.
figure
Find it.
out what's trending. So that's been a huge time saver. Most of my trend videos though are about garbage plates,
Hmm.
which is hit or miss. I like have to not read the comments because people start fights. They get
Hmm.
aggressive on who has the best plate, and you're not allowed to call it a garbage plate unless it's from Nick Tahoe's. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I like post it, and I'm like, okay, I can't look at any of the comments because people get aggressive over
Yeah,
their garbage plates.
people get aggressive about a lot of things nowadays. It just anything at all. Like, and I think that part of that, like, not to get into like too much of this, but like part of that is social media, because everything's so
Yeah,
instantly, accessible, and everyone has a comment and opinion about even things they don't even understand the full like story about, right? But I can
right.
see that. I can definitely see that. And being like that, I live sort of like equidistance between Buffalo and Rochester. I feel like you get the same kind of thing with like Duff's versus Anchor Bar, wings, and like it's not a Buffalo wing if it isn't from Duff's or Anchor Bar. All these other places are just,
Right.
you know, imitating, right? Slim Shady. All right. So I think we've tackled a lot of different things, and like, like the trends, and like, what it is to kind of run a TikTok or social media thing. So like, how can people help you? Like, a part of this show is also like, you helping people figure out how they can do some of these things on their own, but where does Rock the City with Hope need some help or support, aside from the common like, like followership, right? Like, are there things that you are looking for?
If you run a local business in Rochester and you want to highlight it on Rock City with Hope, I would love to be hired. So you can hire me to come out and feature your business on my social media platforms. It's not done, but maybe it'll be done by the time this podcast episode is released. I'm working on a book
Oh, cool.
that will be available for sale, and that is focused on places around Rochester to take pictures.
Hmm.
So I tried to put it together with a couple different lenses, whether you're an amateur photographer and you want to like just get out and explore and take pictures, if you're having senior pictures done, family pictures, you're doing an engagement photo shoot, you just want to update your pictures for your dating app profiles, like wherever, different places to go and take pictures around Rochester. So that'll hopefully be available in the next couple weeks. That has been a bear to publish. I
Hmm.
thought it was going to be done in April. My goal was to have it done before prom season, and the content was done, but like the publishing part has been a bear.
Yeah,
So hopefully in the next couple weeks that'll be finished. So keep an eye out for that. That would be a great way to support me directly. And then
sure.
there's also Rochester inspired merch on my website. So if you're feeling um, Rochester, New York souvenir Finger Lakes esque items. I partner with Redbubble, so there's t-shirts and hoodies and coasters and shower curtains and literally anything that you can think of that you want a Rochester symbol on, it's probably on there.
Nice, nice. Those are some great ways, and we'll definitely highlight the book, even if it's out after the episode drops. But we'll put all those kinds of information links in the show notes, because be really great to support someone who's supporting all of our city, in Rochester. And um so with that being said, like, we talked about your kind of your favorite different things that you've already posted on, but like, what's your favorite spot in Rochester? What's the first place that I know that's a hard question too. Okay, so maybe what's the first place that you would say, someone coming into Rochester visiting for the first time needs to start with, to check out?
My first place I probably would say is the Jenny Brew House. If you didn't know, it's the oldest brewery in New York State. It's the second oldest in the nation. But they're right at High Falls, which is a waterfall that goes right through downtown Rochester.
Yeah.
They have a museum about the beer in their gift shop. They have great food. And I feel like it's an iconic Rochester experience, to go down there and check out the view of the skyline from there. So if I had to pick, normally if somebody asks me what they like, what I think they should do, I ask more probing questions. But if you're asking
Sure.
me specifically, I would
No,
say
that's a
Jenny.
great one. That's a great one. And that's actually what I was kind of alluding to earlier. I'm like, that might have been your first, you know, um, your first video. But I recently just went to that a couple months ago I couldn't believe I hadn't been there before. So and they've, it's great. It's a great area, and then there's great food there and everything. It's just very lively. So cool. Great suggestion. Um, so you know, is there anything that you see happening in the next, what's next for Rock the City with Hope? Like, what's the next dream? Like, you got a book coming out, you got a pretty, you got a loyal following on social media, is it Rock the City, the Hope, the movie, the documentary? What's up next?
I have joked about my own reality TV show. I'm like, would anyone watch it? I was like, I think it would be so fun to do like my own version of like The Bachelorette and like
Mhm.
feature a dating scene um in Rochester. But I'm like, that we would need some more funds. We would need some
Yeah.
major sponsors for that to go through. So I've jokingly half joked, half not joked about a reality TV show. I don't think that's in the works.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Um,
You might have it with Does It Plate, like
does it
garbage.
plate? What is
Yeah,
that?
like Garbage Plate. Does It Plate, There's your reality show right there. You're gonna get all those mean comments and stuff, but maybe you'll get some positive ones,
I
right?
mean, all the mean comments, it just boosts the engagement rate, right? So more people
Yeah.
see it. So I have a love-hate relationship with the negative comments.
It's like that old adage of like, you know, I can't even say it now. The no news is bad news kind of thing. Like, all news is good,
Right.
right? Yeah, that's not it at all. Like, boy, to put
No
myself
such
on
thing
this.
as bad publicity.
Thank you. See, this is why we have you on the show. It's to keep the things going, everything's flowing. Awesome. Um, so Hope, like, you've done a lot already, like in explaining like how to be effective on on social, how to be good partner in businesses, because I think that that's also something great about what you do, is it's not just about like um uplifting your brand or your product. It's You're uplifting all the services and all the different experiences in Rochester. And I think that that's amazing, right? Because like, you're helping to put Rochester on the map. Um, and so what else, like, we asked kind of like, what else are you going to do in the future with the documentary, not documentary, but like, where else is this going to go? Like, um, you know, is this going to be maybe a full-time thing for you eventually, you hope? Or, um,
Yes. TBD on when. Right now, between my full-time job and Rock the City with Hope, I'm clocking in at like 80 hours a week.
mhm.
So we're struggling. Um,
You're struggling
but
artist.
yes, trying to make it through. So I'd love to be doing it full time though. I think that the community needs additional resources, and I think that I don't know, like, just the way that we get our news is so different. Like,
Hmm.
here at my full-time job in the office, like, we all talk about, like, my former boss, he would, like, be like, "Oh, I read it in the newspaper," and I'd be like, "Oh, I saw it on TikTok."
Hmm.
Like, just, like, how we get news is so different, so I think that just traditional advertising models, I think they're still useful. I don't want anyone to, like, think I'm poo-pooing on newspaper, but I just think that, like, people want information and they're changing how they get it. And I think that people want to be served information from a trustworthy source. So
Hmm.
I think that there's still a lot to be posted about around Rochester. Like people are like, oh, when are you going to run out? And I'm like, I could make a list,
Yeah.
but between all the new businesses that are constantly opening up, um, I don't think that I think I would be in business for a little while, even if we're expanding out into Buffalo, Syracuse, Corning, Ithaca.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, and there's the great model that you're putting together here that could be piloted out to other cities, other locations and stuff. But like you said, even if nothing new ever came to the city, and I'm not saying that would ever happen, just the existing businesses that you are already highlighting are creating new things, are changing the way
right.
that they do business, changing with the times. Like even just what you're saying about how people perceive and get information is going to change over time. So you're always going to have content. There's always going to be something to kind of highlight or a new person that comes in that takes over a business even, right? And doing something differently. So I think that you are absolutely correct that we're at this weird junction on collecting and communicating information and processing that, like what is real news, what is fake news, that whole mess, right? And I think we are looking for people like yourself or other services that are providing accurate information and sort of like all the facts, right, on both sides. And that's the other thing that I really like about your channel is you're talking about all different things and you try to address it broad enough that multiple audiences will be super interested in like whatever it is you're talking about, right? So, like McDonald's the other day, I just saw that come up in my feed, and I'm like, oh, there's some new things I didn't even know in McDonald's, existed, and I thought that
Mhm.
was neat. So it's great that you're also taking the time to not just highlight but educate.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
So, but I really do urge my audience to kind of reach out and connect with Hope. Businesses that are looking to be highlighted definitely need to talk to her because you are a plethora of great knowledge and other, partnerships that I think also could come from this. And that kind of comes to another question is like, have you connected other services in Rochester with each other, like networked them together because they make kind of sense to me, like maybe business partners or work well off each other? Has that come up at all? Oh, I don't want
Um,
stumpers for you. I'm sorry. I promise this be an easy interview. And then let's ask all the hard questions.
I don't think people have taken me up on it.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I just this week I was talking with a new maple syrup farm in Ontario County, and they're interested in getting their product into different stores. So I like have started the conversation on that,
Mhm.
introducing them to people. That's the only thing that comes up initially. The
Mhm.
good news about Rochester is that in some ways it's a really big small town. So
Yeah.
I feel like we've got a lot of community going on with different businesses knowing each other. Um, but that's all I can think of at the moment. No like crazy success stories yet
Mhm.
of how
Well,
I
I'm sure they
put
will
things
come.
together.
Yeah, I'm sure they will come, and you know what? A lot of times it's those things are, like, unexpected. Like, when someone goes and listens to the podcast, sometimes I get feedback and saying, "Oh, I connected with that guest and they're amazing." And it's just after the fact. So you might have had these things happen. My wife's a teacher, and the other thing that happens every now and then is a student comes back and says what an impact she's made on their lives. So you're making an impact for sure. Sorry for all the stumper questions. I think, you know, I'm not trying to get you to go and like, oh no, that's a hard one. But I think you're doing a lot more than you even know. But Hope, is there anything else that you want to highlight about Rock the City with Hope, or the things that you're doing that we haven't chatted about?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I do try to post different content to each of those, so that people don't feel like they're just seeing the same thing in three different places.
Mhm.
Um, I have free guides right now on my website, so it's just ROCthecitywithHope.com. I have different restaurant guides that are free to download. During Christmas time last year, I did a holiday lights guide and featured the best lights
Cool.
around Rochester, featured maple syrup makers. So, a couple different things, but there's always like additional free resources. And then I'm finally getting into blogging,
Mhm.
something that I've avoided because I don't love written content.
Yeah.
So I've been sticking with social media, but trying to beef up some more evergreen content on my website. So there's some additional features over there. We're working on one blog post a month at the moment. So
Mhm.
that'll have some additional content over there as well. And then, yeah, keep your eye out for a book and maybe a reality TV show.
Yeah.
Probably not, but
Yeah.
maybe.
No, I could see it happening. You can just do it yourself. Go live and just do it. You have to come up with a different thing than the rose, though. We have to come up with some other, like, Rochester iconic item to kind of pass out. A
Here's
plate.
your plate.
Here's your plate. Say, yep. I set you up for that. I was hoping you'd say that. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Hope, thank you so much for being on the show. I urge my audience to connect with Hope and follow what she's doing. And again, highlight those businesses. She is a great resource. And I think that she will bring light to your business and everything that you're doing as well. So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.